आई थिंक हेलो। आपने क्या बराबर किया हुआ है?
हेलो।
हाँ रोहित। नहीं नहीं, एक बार स्पीकर से आवाज आ रही है मेरी आपको? हाँ ठीक है ठीक है।
हेलो
ठीक है रोहित।
रावत सर,
हाँ जी।
वॉइस आ रही है ना मेरी आपको?
हाँ वॉइस क्लियर है।
ठीक है, मीटिंग लीव कर रहा हूँ आपको, ठीक है,
हाँ
पोस्ट
बिल्कुल।
बना रहा हूँ आपको।
पोस्ट बना दीजिए।
ठीक है, मैंने होस्ट बना, ठीक है,
ठीक है जी
चेक कर
ठीक है।
लीजिए आप।
वो ठीक है।
मैं लीव कर रहा हूँ मीटिंग, ओके।
ओके बोलो। यार इसको नेक्स्ट टाइम कभी भी ऐसा होता है ना, ये वाला कुछ बड़ा मारे, ये 2 बार हो गई, आगे भी कभी भी होता है। रिकॉर्डिंग चल रही है तो ऑटो स्टार्ट। आप करते हो रिकॉर्डिंग स्टार्ट? करते हो? हाँ बहुत है। बहुत टॉप आ रहा है ना, चलेगा ना? लेकिन ये आ नहीं रहा है। क्या नहीं आ रहा? इतने मिनट हो रही वो होगी। लेकिन आप इसलिए कहते हैं कि बहुत ज़्यादा टॉप दिखा रहा है इसका मतलब। हाँ, बहुत पता है आपको मतलब ऐसे ही कुछ लाइफ। कौन ज्वाइन होगा? एक लाइसेंस परचेज कर दो, सही क्या प्रोसेस है ऑफिस से। हाँ नेगी साहब गुड मॉर्निंग।
मॉर्निंग सर, मॉर्निंग।
आपकी प्रेजेंटेशन मिल गई मेरे को।
हाँ बिल्कुल, मेरे से ये शेयर नहीं होगा तो आप करोगे वहां से।
ठीक है परफेक्ट है सर।
हाँ, मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूँ। हाँ,
ठीक
अखिलेश
है।
जी ऊपर आया है इसमें। एक सेकंड म्यूट। हाँ हाँ।
कौन सा फोकस वाला?
एक चैतन्य की डायरी ना 2026 वाली है।
या हाँ Click share to the share content to the meeting. हाँ
entire thing.
हाँ
हाँ, अब
तो इंटायर स्क्रीन आ रहा है ऊपर में और विंडो और हाँ हाँ अच्छा हाँ हाँ ये- तो इंटायर स्क्रीन में मैं वो मारूं
उसके बाद
आई थिंक मेरे को वहां बनाया नहीं मिला हाँ तब आ जाएगा ठीक है देखेंगे हाँ हाँ ठीक है अभी अभी रावत जी इसका वो है हाँ अच्छा ठीक है ओके हाँ जी रावत जी
हाँ जी सर बताइए। हेलो। हाँ नेगी साहब।
हेलो
हाँ सर दिखाई दे रही है आपको?
हाँ दिखाई दे रही है
ठीक है सर मैं कर दूंगा आपका जब बोलेंगे आप।
हाँ तो ठीक है वो मैं भी कोशिश करता हूँ उसको शेयर करने की हो जाएगा मेरे से भी
ठीक है
पहले
हो जाएगा
नो
तो।
स्टार्टिंग में पोपली साहब की जगह कौन वेलकम एड्रेस दे रहे हैं
आप ही दे दीजिएगा 2 लाइन बोल दीजिएगा साईं साहब से बोल देंगे।
अच्छा ठीक है रावत जी ये मैं शेयर कर सकता हूँ ना? हाँ, तो मैं कर लूंगा, अगर नहीं होगा तो फिर आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा मैं।
ठीक है सर, ठीक। सर आप पीपीटी को एनलार्ज कर दीजिए, अपने पीपीटी को।
हाँ हाँ हाँ, ठीक है, मैं कर रहा हूँ उसी को। वेरी गुड।
आपको पूरी स्क्रीन में दिखेगा तो इसका मतलब डिस्प्ले हो रहा है।
ठीक है रावत जी।
हेलो।
आप एनलार्ज
हाँ,
कर
अभी
लीजिए
आ रहा है।
आपके मॉनिटर में। हाँ दिख रहा है सर, दिख रहा है।
हाँ, ठीक
आप
है,
अपने मॉनिटर में पूरा फुल स्क्रीन कर लीजिए।
कर लिया कर लिया।
ठीक है सर, हमको दिख रहा है। आप पेज, हाँ ओके, इट इज गुड सर,
ठीक
विजिबल।
है, विजिबल। मैं इसी से इसको रखता हूँ।
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
ठीक है, स्टार्टिंग आप सही है।
हाँ
ये ठीक है। आज हमारे एक सीनियर मेंबर मिस्टर सी आर प्रसाद जो थे, फॉर्मर सीएमडी गेल।
हाँ, वो निकल गया आज।
हाँ चले गए सर।
आज बहुत दुखद घटना है ये।
वेरी सैड। क्या क्या हुआ उनको?
एक्चुअली ही वाज सिक फॉर द कैंसर। लंग्स में प्रॉब्लम हो गई थी उनकी।
लास्ट टाइम तो मिले थे हम लोग।
मीटिंग में तो आए थे सर।
यही है ना सर, इंडिया लेवल फोरम, उसका प्रेजेंटेशन डिस्प्ले पे एलएनजी का है ना।
जस्ट ट्राइंग।
नहीं जी, गुड मॉर्निंग।
मॉर्निंग सर, गुड मॉर्निंग।
नाइस।
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
गुड मॉर्निंग।
वीडियो है इसमें सर।
प्रसाद साहब का एज कितना था?
84।
वीडियो आ रहा है,
84।
बट बैक कैमरा आ रहा है।
ये क्या है? पीछे का है। वर्मा जी गुड मॉर्निंग।
गुड मॉर्निंग वर्मा साहब। गुड मॉर्निंग।
साईं साहब भी ज्वाइन कर चुके हैं। सर आपका कैमरा टुवर्ड्स टेबल है।
रीजोन कनेक्ट चेंज भी नहीं हो रहा, मैं इसको रीजोन।
में ज्वाइन हो गया, साईं साहब का ज्वाइन हो गया। कैमरा जरा फेस पे लाइए।
हाँ आ गया सर।
नेगी साहब आपने भी कैमरा ठीक कर लीजिए, आपका पूरा फोटो नहीं आ रहा।
ठीक नहीं आ रहा है अभी, एक सेकंड।
आधा आ रहा, आधा फेस आ रहा। हाँ अभी ठीक है। गुड मॉर्निंग शाही सर।
वर्मा जी गुड मॉर्निंग।
गुड मॉर्निंग। गुड मॉर्निंग।
सुरेंद्र गुड मॉर्निंग। अच्छा, मैंने आज सुबह एक रिवाइज करके थोड़ा भेजा है। उसमें दो स्लाइड छोटा छोटा स्लाइड ऐड कर दिया है। देखना मिला कि नहीं? हाँ, आप ऑफिस पहुंच गए?
VP Singh, good morning.
Good
morning sir,
morning.
good morning.
Hello.
Good morning to all of you. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Good morning,
Yes,
Sai
sir, yes, sir. Good
Sahib.
morning, good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Sri V.S. Verma.
Very sad news
good
today.
morning.
Dr. C.R. Prasad passed away.
Yes sir.
We have a gas webinar. He was a gas man, gas CMD for a number of years in GAIL, in ONGC.
Dr. Monty.
अच्छा, can you hear me? Okay, मैं आ रहा हूँ, आ रहे हैं ना? अच्छा, can you hear me also?
Yes, we can hear you, Monty sir.
Okay, thank you. No, because I have changed my, instruments.
No, we can see you, we can hear you. We have received your revised presentation also.
Thank you, Mehta sir. Thank you, Verma sir. It's a very sad news here about this.
Yeah. नेगी जी, आप उस समय कहाँ थे जब वो
2
गेल
days
चेयरमैन
back,
थे?
I
C.R.
think
Prasad?
Dr. Negi's conference we had met, He's a regular visitor. At this age, he will definitely come,
Yeah.
attend all seminar and take very active interest. But
Good morning, sir.
Good
God,
morning.
Good morning, Sai sir.
Good morning,
Hello, sir.
Rajesh.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning,
Good
good
morning,
morning,
Rajesh.
Mediratta ji. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
नेगी जी, आप वहाँ उस समय कहाँ थे जब ये गेल चेयरमैन थे आपके C.R. प्रसाद? आप गेल में
हम
थे?
गेल में ही थे सर।
हाँ।
ये ज्वाइन करने से रिटायरमेंट तक इनके साथ ही थे हम लोग।
I knew him from late 90s, 99, 90, 2000, something like that.
हाँ,
Yeah.
ये 94 में ज्वाइन किए थे गेल को ये।
Around that time.
या
मैगी सर क्या हुआ?
उनके अरे वो
C.R.
इलनेस
Prasad
कैंसर था इनको
expired today.
हाँ सर?
Dr. C.R. Prasad.
अच्छा ओ
This morning, early morning, 5:30
ओके
a.m.
ओके
expired. He was on our board, Energy Infratech, which I
अच्छा
do. Yeah, right from the beginning. So
वेरी सॉरी टू हियर
वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट।
Very, very nice gentleman, actually. He used to participate all in our conferences. Physically, nuclear conference he was there, in core conference he was there.
अभी लास्ट में इन्होंने लिया था ना लाइफ टाइम अवार्ड फ्रॉम
Yeah,
साहब
yeah.
के उसमें
अपना हमारा एनर्जी इंडिया एनर्जी फोरम का भी लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट अवार्ड मेरिट अवार्ड मिला था उनको.
Sir, let me inform today that Mr. Popley is actually traveling, so he will not be able to join today. And Mr. Subhash Kumar is there, so he will be giving the welcome address. He will be starting it, sir. I think he has already joined here.
Yeah, good.
I can see Subhash.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah. I'm also on the road, so if there is some disturbance, please excuse me.
You are either on the road or in the air.
Sir, I'm actually on way to Chandigarh from Delhi. So, but the subject was so important that I thought I must step in and take the responsibility to rather privilege of being
course.
to set
Of
the
course.
discussion in motion. So, if permitted, sir, can I start?
I think it is 10-2. Rawat, how many people have joined?
14 have
sir. 14.
Rawat?
14, sir. 14 participants are there.
Or normally we do it 10-5. We will start another 2 minutes.
Right,
Another
sir.
2 minutes. Yeah. And then we will also, maybe you may announce that 1 hour, 1 minute we can just sitting there, have silence in the memory of Dr. C.R. Prasad, who passed away this morning, and then you can. So that means 10-5 we start, 1 minute silence, and then you get going.
Mr. Mishra has also not joined. 2 speakers are not joined.
Sir, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Morning, Verma sahab.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good
Sharma ji, good
morning.
morning. Morning, Subhash.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Morning, Negi sahab. Good morning, Sharma ji. Good morning. Rama ji. किसने?
I see Alok Kumar has also joined, former Power Secretary. Alok, are you able to hear us?
Yeah, good morning, sir. Sir, it's very clear. So I'm traveling, so I've joined on the way.
Okay, very good, very good, very good.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody.
So we can start now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We can start, and unfortunately, we are starting today at the sad note of Mr. Prasad, who was doyen of oil and gas industry, having passed away this morning. He was really a stalwart and probably the most proactive and affectionate, one of the most affectionate persons in the industry. And he would always encourage people to participate, and his contribution to the cause has been tremendous. So I think if agreed proceedings, 1 minute silence in his respect.
Yeah. Okay, Suhas.
Are you talking about Prasad Dasgupta?
No, Mr. Prasad.
Okay.
Dr. C.R. Prasad, who used to be
Dr.
chairman of Gas Authority of
Right.
India Limited. Okay, Suhas.
Thank you, sir. As far as India is concerned, it is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. And having anticipated that a growing economy requires a lot of energy, Government of India has been working in right earnest to secure different sources of energy. Incidentally, it was on 27th of March 2015 that Honorable Prime Minister set a target for gas to have 15% share in the total energy mix in the country. The occasion was the 50th year of having established ONGC Videsh. Now, at that point in time, the gas had a share of around 11.2% in the national energy mix. Today, from that period, 2015 to 2024, in a matter of around 9 years, instead of going up, actually, we have reached a stage where we are just above 6% as far as the gas share in energy mix in the country is concerned. This is despite the fact that a lot of investments and pro-investment policies have come during this period. As far as country has concerned, it has number of LNG regas terminals set up. Of course, Petronet LNG had taken initiative. Its plant at the Dahej has been performing spectacularly since its inception in 2004. But as far as other projects are concerned, they have not yet delivered at scale. During this period, actually, Government of India has simultaneously taken in pro-gas initiatives by encouraging CGD networks, and with around 11A, roughly around 98% of population, which means the entire country is covered through the CGD network. Despite all these initiatives and seemingly pro-gas and energy policies, gas unfortunately continues to lose its share in the overall mix. So, and as far as the country is concerned, it is losing on an opportunity to have this cleaner fuel contribute significantly to the development efforts of the country. So, in this context, one needs to find out as to between the efforts and policy why the results have not been up to the satisfaction or as per the aspirations which were laid out. Of course, efforts have been made, and for that, actually, a deliberation like this sets a pedestal for discussion on the issues and understanding exactly what has happened and where the miss has been. Probably, of course, we know that one of the major reasons for gas not taking to scale has been the non-inclusion of gas in the GST regime. There have been a number of times where the expectations have been high. Expectations were high, are high even this time around. And if once gas comes in within the GST regime, probably it will take to scale. Secondly, possibly another reason which needs to be addressed and which will possibly be deliberated during the discussions is also having there's different states having different layers of taxes for on gas value chain. So that's another sector. There are certain practical problems relating to the approvals, etc. So all this taken together, while everything seems to be in terms of hardware seems to be in place, the time is now that the entire revolution relating to the gas, at least acquiring 15% share in the energy mix, it can take to scale. If even at 15%, it will be significantly lower than the global average. India being so densely populated and fairly well connected now, I think with the right policies, there is no better time or period when this decline in share of gas coming down can be reversed. So I think with these opening remarks, I hand over back to the organizers, to Barmaji probably, to kindly take it forward. And we have some eminent experts on the subject speaking today on the subject, and all of us are eager to listen and get their perspective on the issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Subhaji. Sir, I think the President would like to say now address and welcome everybody and say real opening remarks now. Sir, Shai sir, may kindly.
Good morning. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yes.
Thank you, Subhas, for putting things very straight and giving a good background. As former chairman of ONGC, I think we had good privilege of having you today to share your view. Of course, if you have to continue in this, there will be questions. There will be a number of questions on ONGC, number of questions on people who have been handling gas, but you are traveling.
No, sir, I'll be on. I'll be listening in listening mode
Okay.
at least.
All right.
Yeah.
So as rightly said, that gas deserved to be having better share in the energy basket. And at one time it used to be high. And we have been hearing this target of 15% for last 10 years or more than 10 years. The target is 15%, because we had one of the other very eminent chairman, former chairman of ONGC, Mr. Sharma, who attended one of the conferences about 3 years back. And perhaps he was heading a committee which went into detail about how the gas proportion can be increased. And then the 15% target has been eluding us. And as you rightly said, it has been going down. The reason is that for the last 15 years, there has been negative net increase or a zero net increase in gas production. That means when the gas fields, they get exhausted, and commensurate amount of new fields do not come in picture with larger production. Obviously, the net production would be either zero or negative. And this is what the country has been experiencing. At least in my time of my being associated with the energy sector for many, many years, from late 70s, we have also heard, we used to hear in the late 70s and early 80s and going through 90s, that gas is the future. Gas is the future fuel of the country and of the world. But then the question is, surprisingly, the more we try to improve the proportion of gas, substitute part of the other fossil fuel, coal, the more we have gone into negative direction, because the net production, as I said, has been absolutely declining. Now we have to see the reason. Today we have experts, what we do in the future. whether 15% target would be there. And therefore, today's session is on LNG. So that means if our net production of gas is negative and we need more gas to fuel our economy, gas is of course, is a fossil fuel, but gas is a better fossil fuel than coal, decidedly. So we have to handle the issue of emission even if we use gas, but the problem is less challenging as compared to coal. So inevitably, the more we try and the more we are getting into coal again and again. Therefore, the country decided that we will import gas. And way back, several decades ago, we decided to have LNG terminals, liquefy the natural gas abroad, and bring the gas in the liquefied manner, and then regasify here. So several terminals, at least. The present status of the terminals is that we have about 6 or 7 terminals, except the terminal that Petronet LNG uses and operates. I think most of the other 5 terminals, most of them, not all of them, but most of them, their utilization is 15 or 20%. So this is a paradox. We need more gas. We have not been producing more gas. The country decided to set up LNG terminals to import gas and regasify and use. And when we have done that, we are not able to fully utilize the terminals. Now, this is a very peculiar situation, and I'm sure many of our experts who are in the panel today will be able to explain why is it that you need it, country needs it, and at this point of time, the issue of carbon dioxide is an issue, and everything that in the energy side we are trying to do is aiming at reducing the carbon dioxide proportion in our energy management. And 60-70% of the terminals are not being used. Their utilization is poor. The second question is that is it because that we do not have the pipelines, or is it because the prices are very high? If the prices are very high, then they will continue to be high. If the prices are volatile, they will continue to be volatile. How do we manage this part of the energy transition? Because in an overall management of energy sector at this point of time, when we are confronted with larger intake of solar, and we need substitutes, and this could be one of the substitutes, though, as I said, it is not non-fossil fuel, yet we would have preferred this. So today, we continue to again prefer to take care of balancing requirement of the solar power during daytime, not being available in evenings, until the time we are able to do more pumped storage projects, hydro projects, battery storage. Therefore, again and again, we are getting into more and more of larger amount of capacities. So 10 years back, we were very jubilant that solar energy will have a lot of impact. It is having a lot of impact, that we might get rid of a higher growth of coal-based power generation. Looking back now, last 5 years, we are trying to see that for balancing the requirement in evenings and the load balancing and the generation and load balancing, we definitely need to have more coal-based generation. So now the government has decided to again give a momentum, a new thrust to the coal-based power stations. Some of the old coal-based power stations abroad have been brought back. So this phenomenon is not unique to India. This is prevalent in different parts of the world. And the present geopolitical situation has made it even more imperative, because energy security has become paramount. And in that context, when we talk of LNG, again, that issue will be there. That if I have to use gas, and if we have to import more than 50% of what we require, and that is the situation today, in case of petroleum, in case of diesel and crude, we have the requirement of almost 85-86% to be importing. In case of gas, more than 50% we are importing even today. You know that in the power sector and fertilizer sector, which are the largest consumers of gas, power sector is the largest. Many of our capacities which were set up on gas-based power generation are idling. of the 25,000 megawatt of capacity that we have in the country. At any point of time, we don't use more than 1/3 of the capacity. Though last summer, and that summer is continuing, it was seen that even at higher price of gas-based power generation, we had to use these capacities. So therefore, gas continues to be relevant, but supply continues to be an issue. I mean, earlier I thought that with import we will be able to solve. But then now when we analyze why we are not able to use our terminals capacity fully, then many questions are coming. And I'm sure that we need to get into details. Are the pipelines a problem? Then why pipelines infrastructure would not be created? We had Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board. We have Petroleum Ministry, which is very alive to the situation, very dynamic ministry. Reform in the petroleum sector commenced much earlier than reform in the power sector. But some of these basic issues, which are so clear, that if the gaps of pipeline and grid of gas movement or gas supply is an issue, why are we not handling it? At one time, and I was there in the ministry at the time when we were thinking of a regulatory setup, and that is how Petroleum and Natural Regulatory Board came in. We also had contributed on some of the thoughts, whether open access is a reality or there are some issues in the open access, where the capacity is an issue. I would definitely feel investment is worth. But that investment will be there only when some degree of predictability, a good predictability about availability of gas is there, and a reasonably predictability about the behavior of the price. I have had occasions to address, and even now when we talk to the gas people globally, I definitely try to put a blame on them, that somehow the erratic behavior of supply and more erratic behavior of the prices have sort of kept people away from making any major investments. If they make major investments, whether in power stations or fertilizer or gas pipeline or even LNG terminal, and the prices become so prohibitive that you cannot use these terminals, then investment becomes a big problem. So these are some of the real issues. I'm sure answers to these issues will be there. And I'm also sure that those people who are fully involved into discussing about the management of gas sector, the behavior of gas sector, the global scenario of gas sector, the import dependence. Import dependence has become a major issue globally, actually. Therefore, while I do advocate that we should have a brighter future for LNG terminal, we are not leaving the point that ONGC should continue to explore and ensure it's not only gas. The net production in crude itself has been a very disappointing situation. So both the things in petroleum, we are somewhat disappointed, and somehow we have got into an issue of having to manage our foreign exchange position, having to manage our volatile nature of price fluctuations of these products, and then economy suffers. So therefore, when we talk of future outlook for LNG, I think one conclusion is clear, that it is required. Another conclusion is that we should orchestrate, coordinate with various agencies and try to find out that there is no mismatch between capacities at LNG terminal, utilization of that capacity, pipeline not letting us down, and some degree of reserves that are created, a good degree of reserves that are created, which take care of the shocks, price shocks. I remember 25 years ago, we were talking of reserves, keeping reserves in the liquefied person and then regasify. To what extent these reserves have been expanded so that sudden price shocks are managed properly. So these are the issues that confront us, and we should conclude with a positive note that how best we use this comparatively more benign, environmentally more benign fuel. Though the tag, as I said, of fossil fuel will remain. But since we are talking of in terms of even coal being very relevant for the next 50 years, if not more, definitely gas will continue to be relevant. And in that context, LNG will be relevant. So with these introductory issues, and I'm sure we will dissect these problems into greater detail. I will listen to the presentations brought out by the expert panel, And then toward the end, we will try to conclude in what way we should manage this very important aspect of the economy of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for a very nice introductory message to all of us. And you have raised some quite pertinent questions and issues which are facing. And I think the best person to answer right now was a very big, broad idea on all of these. It will be possible for our Dr. B.S. Negi, a stalwart of gas sector, and also the chairman of the gas vertical in India Energy Forum, to maybe some of your things. And in fact, he is the man behind putting this kind of a seminar and request to the speakers. Person who knows, I think, quite a lot about it. So I'll request now Dr. B.S. Negi to put a real perspective of this, which already has been started by Shahi Saab. So, Negi Saab, kindly join. Thank you.
Thank you, Verma ji. And thanks to Subhash Kumar ji for his introductory remark and visionary address by Sahi ji. This today's subject actually is the prospects of LNG in India. So, having said that, the benign fuel like natural gas will continue to play a role right up to 2050 and maybe 2070. For India, there are two prospects actually. We are importing hydrocarbons to the great extent of 85% of the consumption. The best way to import was the natural gas for two reasons. One, that is more benign than any other fossil fuel. Second, that in the international market, the price of gas is always considered or put lesser than the oil. That is two reasons that gas has been finding much more utility in India. So today's presentation will be mostly confined to the role of LNG and what are the availability of the terminals, what is the capacity, how we are utilizing, and focus is as to how to take this LNG very, very far-flung areas in India, even though they are not connected by pipeline. So I welcome my esteemed speakers. Mr. Bohanty will be giving us gas sector overview, and Mr. Gyalendra Sharma, the President Marketing of PLL, will be giving global LNG liquefaction and regas capacity and sourcing option for India. And Mr. JP Mishra, ED of IOCL, will be sharing his experience of IOC's involvement in serving country with LNG right from 2004. My particular theme will be what is the LNG infrastructure, how to take it to very far-flung places. I will now share my presentation with the audience. Rawaji,
I will share.
I think you have to make me share it.
So is presentation visible?
I think it's visible. Now I'll cancel now. Go from your presentation. Okay. Now next page. Now, actually, I have tried to bring out as to what will be the actually gas requirement in India by 2030 or even down the line 2050. So I did my exercise in 2022 as to what will be the energy basket for India by 2030. This exercise was based on the economic growth coupled with the energy intensity and share of LNG, gas, and also with respect to the year-on-year growth as reported by many papers including BP review. So I calculated by 2030, the requirement of energy in India, primary energy, will be about 1216.45 MTOE. And if the 15% share goes for gas, as per our gas-based economy, so about 7.55 exajoule of the energy will be required in the form of gas. And this translates to about 520 MMSCMD of gas every day from the today's consumption of 180 MMSCMD. The second look, we go to the gas-based economy. The group has worked very hard and they have actually worked out with respect to the policy of the government. So they projected that the demand by 2030 will be around 600 MMSCMD of the gas. So therefore, India will need, starting from 340 as per my calculations to 420 as per India-based gas economy, MMSCMD requirement for India. Next. So now, domestic gas production, as Saiji has also covered, it has actually peaked in India by 2010, where almost 10% capacity utilization or 10% gas domestic was available for consumption. That time it raised to 10%. Now it is slowly down, and we are now stuck to 6.2% of the energy basket in the primary energy consumption. But hopefully last year, we saw an increase of about 18% in the gas production. And we feel such kind of efforts as announced by the government. I have heard the Honorable Petroleum Minister earmarking almost $100 billion for exploration production coming up in India in the next few years. So hoping so, we have a positive hope that oil and gas will be domestically produced more than what it is today. But if you see, starting from 2004, when the LNG came in India, where gas requirement was more than what domestic gas could be competing, so we started the LNG terminal at Dahej, and slowly now almost more than 50% of the gas demand is met by import of LNG. Today that is the scenario, and by 2030, it will be almost similar requirement of the LNG to cope up with the gas demand. And there is a study by EIA. They say by 2050, it will touch to 60%. That means the demand for the gas in India will mostly be met more than 50% by the LNG. So then there will be a look for LNG terminal capacity in India, how much we can really get at. So today we have about 49 MTPA existing capacity, getting additional capacity of 15 MTPA, making total 64. I'll give the detail as to which terminal, what capacity will come up. Further capacity expansion program is about 28.8 MMTPA. Next. Now, the terminal owned by Petronet at Dahej, which has a capacity of 17.5 MTPA, is slated to increase to 22.5 MTPA. This is one of the most efficient and capacity utilized terminal in India. Then they have Kochi terminal, 5 MTPA, and also coming up in Gopalpur, 5 MTPA. This is upcoming. So they have existing 22.5 and one more again 5 increase in Dahej. Hazira terminal, Hazira LNG, about 5.2 MTPA. Adani GSPL, Mundra, 5 MTPA, and they are proposing to make it 20 MTPA. Then Adani Total at Dhamra, 6.5 MTPA. They are slating to increase to 10 MTPA. Next. Now IOCL in Innor, operating at 5 MTPA capacity. SPCL Chhara, it has a 5 MTPA capacity, but they propose to make it 10 MTPA. Then Nikhil Merchant proposed Swan Energy. It is yet to commission. Jafrabad 5 MTPA and Gale Concard LNG Dabhol at 5 MTPA. It is also already in commission stage. Next. Now this is a slated tabulated form. So Dahej capacity 17.5 to get extended to 5 million extra. Hazira 5, Dabhol 5, Kochi 5, Innor 5, Mundra 5, Dhamra 6.5, Chhara 5 to be commissioned, and Jafrabad again 5, yet to be commissioned. Gopalpur, slated 5 in the project stage. Next. एक पहले का इसमें एक और छूट गया रावत साहब बैक yeah next ठीक है go next my dear. These are the possibilities of import. So India is importing from so many countries. Now we go for LNG policy. The government has been encouraging establishing LNG terminal in India. They don't need any ठीक है next में चले जाइए. Okay let me consider on this. So we are importing from LNG terminal need only registration, no authorization is required, and anybody can establish. LNG imports on OGL system, anybody can import LNG, and even the terminal can use on tolling basis, like Dhamra LNG of Adani, they are operating on tolling basis. LNG dispensing for transport sector is also open. Government encouraging this particular aspect. So any entity can establish LNG dispensing station anywhere in India, even in the GH authorized to any other entities. This is so opening, and 100,000 such stations are planned to be established in India in the phased manner. Next. Rauji, next. Now, LNG policy effect. What has happened? The state-owned entities started establishing LNG dispensing stations, like IOC. They have already commissioned 4 stations and 10 are under construction. GAIL is working on 19 stations. They are purely LNG dispensing station in the quadrilateral. SPCL has commissioned 1 in Gujarat and 3 are under construction. BPCL also is under construction, many stations. Petronet, 4 stations they have completed and 10 are under construction. Similarly, the private entities are also actively participating, like Green Line. They are operating 450 LNG fuel truck operating, working in association with Blue Energy Motors. They are the truck manufacturer supported by SR Group. Ultra Gas is another entity which is also supported by HR. 3 stations they are operating in Pune, Chennai, and Anand. 8 stations are under construction. Dispense 1,000 ton of LNG so far. It is a subsidiary of Green Line. Vedinath LNG, another independent private company. They are operating 2 stations in Nagpur, and they have formed JB with Mahanagar Gas to establish 15 more stations in India. Next. Now, I cover access to LNG to the areas which are not connected by pipeline. There are many modes, but I am describing only 3 here. One is road tankers. They take gas or LNG right from the terminal and take it to far-flung 1,000 kilometer, 1,400 kilometer, and this is almost economic. Even if 1,400 kilometer, you get about 14 rupees per kg of the gas transported. So since 2004, when the LNG started in India, IOC was the first to take the LNG by tanker, served to the industry located in Pune or other places, and they have taken it right up to Bangalore from the Dahej. So this is still very highly promising mode of transport and also utilization. Second is the road tanker by small scale LNG. So in the far flung areas, like let's say when you go to Himachal, so you can have a liquefaction plant, maybe near Unna, maybe near maybe near Chandigarh, and then liquefy gas there. So you save the transportation cost right from the terminal to that area, which is almost more than 1,000 kilometers. And the cost of liquefaction in the small scale LNG is between $2 to $3 if the economy of scale Economy scale, I mean, if you have a capacity of 80 TPD, then you get almost $3 per MMBTU. So this is very affordable. Then there is another concept of bio LNG. So the government is giving very much high encouragement to biogas or bio CNG. So in case they are not located, such a big plant not located near the user head, so they can make it LNG, and even 40,000 meter cube per day capacity can be well liquefied, and there are plants which are now being operating. Then railways, the railway transportation of LNG to the areas not connected with pipeline is very economic, but you need a rake full of LNG load. That means the capacity built up through either road tankers or through small scale LNG, if it is capable of taking a rake of about 8 to 10 wagons, probably this is one of the best way of transportation, in which a study was conducted by Sojit, Japan, and they found everything is fine excepting the load center. You need that capacity, because unloading that big rake into the storage tank and having less utilization is not economical. So therefore, your load center or the consumption center should be sufficient at least to take 3 to 4 tankers a day. Then this becomes another economical method of transportation of LNG to the areas not connected by pipeline. Next. Now, filling facilities. So the LNG terminals have been coping up with the requirement of the transportation of LNG by road tankers. Average loading, let's say PLL Dahej, which is one of the pioneer terminal in this particular direction. Average loading 29 tankers a day, and each tanker carries almost 18 tons per tanker. Single day highest filling they have achieved about 43 in November 23, and during December 23, 880 numbers of tankers loaded. Total filled tankers in FY 23-24 is 9,147, huge number. Maximum truck loading by IOC 171, BPCL, GAIL, and others. We have now Kochi. There are 2 loading arms for tankers, and they are expected to increase it to 4. In Innor, there are 2 loading bay, Hazira 2, Dabol 2, and Dhamra 2. So in this way, the LNG terminals are ready to provide tanker loading facilities. Next. Ravaji, next. Now, LNG storage cum regas. This particular aspect of transporting by tanker led to creation of LNG storage cum regas terminal to feed the city gas distribution. As it was covered in the opening remarks, that we have, after 12th round of bidding, 307 geographical area authorized to the various people, and 99.9% of the population of India is covered to be gas charged. So areas which were not possible to have the connectivity, like Bhubaneswar, GAIL started with the LNG storage cum gas terminal, and when you store there, we have 3-4 stream of gas. One, you can have CNG at 220 bar, you can have industrial gas at maybe desirable pressure of 19 bar, 20 bar, 40 bar, whatever you want. Then you can have the commercial connections, pressure of 19 bar to 30 bar. Then you can have the domestic at 8 bar, then transport. So all the 4 stream of the pressure can emanate from the terminal. So the first terminal, Bhubaneswar. Then Nagpur, there are 2 terminals now, Romet and Baidyanath. They are operating. Then Nashik, there is 1 terminal, MNGL. They are also using for CGD. And Jodhpur, there is AGNP has established 1 terminal. In Bhopal, again AGNP or Think Gas, they have established a terminal. In South India, IRM, Solapur, IMC, Aurangabad, and West Bengal, HPCL, they have also established LNG storage company gas. They transport the gas through the tanker, unload it, and then ferry it. Similarly, Hyderabad, Mega Engineering has also established 1 such terminal. Ratnagiri at Chiploon, Unison Enviro has established. Mandardeep, GAIL Gas has established. Raipur, HNGL is now coming up. And in Bikaner, Gasonet, who have been authorized in 11 round of bidding, are also establishing one LNG storage company gas. In Sundarnagar also same gas net. For Himachal, they are also establishing. So this is a actually very, very economic way of taking LNG to the areas which require gas. LNG storage company gas for industry, for smaller industries also. If you do not want to storage big, people are taking and making small storage, vaporization and giving to industry. So the IOC served initially Johnson and Johnson, and then Saint Gobain, and today small people, they are having good commercial aspect. Biren Gas, a young startup, he has started giving this particular concept. He has established one plant in Himmatnagar, then Jindal Motor in Mundra, then Dhule. This is one of the very, very effective way of transportation. Next. Now, SSLNG, which I was talking about, this is one of the plant at Vijaypur, established by GAIL, supplied by Galileo, is already operating. They are supplying to local industry, also Mandip of GAIL Gas. This plant is serving. So Gasondet, which is a new company now, have also thinking of establishing such plant, and these are the few supplier which are ready to supply, starting from 40,000 meter cube per day to 100 tons per day. That is the capacity, and that is quite economical. I think this is one which I want to cover, and again I would like to just brief it and summarize that LNG will continue to play a role, because the capacity which Mr. Sharma will be covering, capacity available globally, is much higher than what we require. So we have no problem in importing. And as transportation is now coming up, it is competing with the pipeline for the long off. So I feel the prospects of LNG to the areas even not connected by pipeline will be served much better way by LNG, even in the sense of the pipeline. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Deggy. A lot of very good information, important information is there. And I'm sure that Rawatji will be sharing the presentation so we can keep info with us for a longer period. And next, I think we would request Dr. Mohanty.
Dr. Mohanty
is DG of Dr. Mohanty. Yeah, so maybe Mohanty is already there. Can you please start your presentation?
Yeah, thank you. Rawatji, please upload. Yeah. Next. I'm really thankful to Dr. Negi that he has made my task easier. He has comprehensively covered all the basic data and much more than what I even knew. So therefore, mine will be only without data, slides, but covering basically broad features of where is gas sector is moving, what happened to gas sector in the last 2-3 years, how does it look beyond say 2030 or 2050. Next. The International Energy Agency in 2011 announced arrival of a golden age of gas. Obviously, the factors responsible are now very clear that the shale gas revolution in USA was the primary factor, creating huge supply of gas. As a result, the gas prices became very affordable. We all know it became $2, even less at that time. Side by side, the climate change interventions gathered momentum. So everybody started speaking. We must have greener fuels and all. So therefore, the gas was readily available. Supply was adequate. There was actually a glut in the market. So therefore, the agency called it a golden age of gas. It continued till 2018-19, but now, having seen this, COVID, then war, and the climate change really becoming serious, Again, IEA has announced that previous one, that that golden age has ended. This is just I read, in the World Energy Outlook 2023. Obviously, there are economic problems. I will not go into details, but all countries are suffering from high debt, inflation because of the COVID and all. So therefore, there is a problem on the on the government side also. Then the COVID came. Soon after COVID came down, war came. Then obviously the green fuels are coming next. So therefore, the golden age for gas, that means gas should have galloped. That is not there. Again, this is what very nice words he used, that if 2019 was a cool down, before 2009, everything looked so good, everything looked so good. Supply, demand, prices were rising. So investment came. A lot of investment in the gas sector also came because prices rose to $7, $8, $9 per MMBTU. But 2009, it was a cool down. Everything started cooling down. And 2020 was a meltdown, obviously because of COVID, and thereafter, obviously, 2022 is the war. COVID, they say, it is the largest recorded demand shock. Demand almost vanished. They have used the word that demand was not there in the history of global gas market. Gas prices, I was checking, almost for a year, gas prices remained below US dollar $2 per MMBTU. Actually, it was 1.7, 1.8, around that. Thereafter, the Ukraine war came. It just scenario changed, In Ukraine war, what happened? The supply got disturbed basically because of Russian gas supply to Europe, sanctions and all. So prices in a day shoot up to $83 per MMBTU in European spot market. But strangely, realistically, the US Henry Hub gas prices remained averaging at $6.45. So that's because gas is still a regional market. So regional hubs, regional production, regional trade, this is determining the gas. So because US has a lot of gas, domestic gas, and they have a well-developed pipeline, everything is there in USA. So the prices remain. Look at the prices that remain at $6 per MMBTU. But after that, now the gas market looks on the path of recovery. But obviously, the Middle East is warming up. There is a war going on. Nobody knows which way it will go. There could be another war. Nobody knows. So the risks are still there, particularly on the geopolitical side. Next. How does the world supply of natural gas looks like? This is the slide. I mean, visually it looks good. So obviously, the signs are not coming up well. It's basically Asia Pacific, led by say Australia and Qatar, and then the USA is leading, and Russia. So these three areas are major supplier of natural gas, which will continue till probably 2050. Next. But I forgot to tell you, the slide. Please go back. What now IEA says that gas demand in the last decade, increased by a CAGR of 2%, over 2% some years, 2%, average is 2%, but now it is increasing by only 0.4%. Demand is, coming down because of other factors. I have next one. Now, how does the demand look, The demand is, again, this is for 2030. Demand
All others, please mute. All others, please mute.
Yeah, demand is, subdued. If you can see, demand is really subdued. These are the different regions. Again, Asia. These are demands which includes both domestic consumption as well as export import. So therefore, I between domestic and trade. Therefore, US looks very big because US domestic consumption itself is very big. Russia also is big. So therefore, overall demand of the world, how much gas is available in the world and how much is available for trade, for export import. But overall, this is the scenario. You can later on see in detail. But again, US, Russia, Asia, these are the countries. South Asia is there, So China has been singled out as a country. Imagine we are in the group of South Asia, blue one, small blue one, but China green is itself increasing. Actually, it's the fastest growing, gas consumption country. Next one. Yeah, this is very, very nice. Now, I thought I'll put it that this debate, whether the peak has come or peak will come or peak has already come by. So this issue, this time, International Energy Agency is much more confident. They say we are almost sure that world is on track to see all fossil fuels peaked before 2030. If you see the graph, coal has already peaked, probably 2025. The line is not coming in the next one. The years are not visible on my. So coal has already peaked and declining very steeply. The brown graph. Natural gas is holding, has it attained the peak into but it's holding better than oil and obviously much better than coal. Next. How the prices look, these are the three world, rather regional hubs, for the world. I mean, they determine the prices. Even our Indian domestic APM gas prices are determined as a weighted average of these three, mainly these three hubs. One is US and next is Japan. We call it JKM, Japan Korea Marker. And third is Netherlands. It is called TTK, Title Transfer Facility in Netherlands, Europort. So these three hubs determine the gas prices. So obviously US is at the bottom, the blue one. It is almost less than $2 going on till 2030. And others are also moving in sympathy. So the fact is that there is a now cooling down and there is a stable downward, path for gas prices, which is good for India. So it will remain below $10 and below $10 is very much affordable by the Indian industry now. If the oil price remains $60, $70, then gas price at $10 is good enough. We can go for imports. Next one. Now I'll come to India because I haven't given much less time, so I'm just selectively picking up here and there. Next is natural consumption. Since we are discussing only LNG, so I have only picked up LNG side. The share of LNG was 41% in 2013-14. Now, as our previous speakers also indicated, Dr. Sahi also told the same thing, that it has crossed 50, and this will go to 60%, in the next 5-10 years. So it is 50.4% in the 2023-24 bar chart. You can see it is 50.4%. Next. Now, how does it look beyond 2024 till 20? This is a international energy administration, the official agency of the US Department of Energy. So they have projected for India that this will look like India's domestic production and net imports for LNG, as LNG till 2050. Obviously, this also shows that LNG will outpace. LNG will be much larger than the domestic production. I don't have any idea. Probably Dr. Negi would know where from this production come. They are showing larger increase in domestic production. But as of today, we do not have that kind of scenario. But anyway, they are much better equipped to project, even Indian gas. So that's here, I was calculating if we convert this 2050 total gas demand, that will work out to 630 SCMD in 2050. Obviously, I remember the report we wrote from India Energy Forum on roadmap for gas-based economy. So I had taken there 600 SCMD, which now looks even government has now reduced it to 500, and Dr. Negi has put it to 520. So 600 also looks quite high, but given the scenario, given the stated policy scenario, whatever government has announced and whatever trend is happening, even in 2050 it will be 630 MMSC.
Mantri sir, can I just interrupt you
Yeah.
for a minute? Last month, India consumed 213 million standard cubic meter of gas. 115 was LNG and domestic was 98 MMSCMD. So that is the highest record as of today. This slide saying 210 MMSCMD in 2025 is
Obviously. Because they must have taken in the earlier years. They must have taken not the current year, but probably 2022. Some base year is maybe different, Yeah, it varies. Obviously, these are only indicative. We all know all these projections are very indicative. And these days, even every quarter they're changing now, because it's so uncertain. Figures are changing so much. Yeah, it's good. Okay, next one. This is the gas consumption by sector. We have a good table in the report on gas-based economy. This in the India Energy Forum report we prepared in 2019. So this one is, this is adding more years. That report was up to 2017, 18. Now I have added till 2024. But it remains same, Now this is of course both non-APM gas and APM gas, total gas. So therefore, uh, domestic gas includes both APM and non-APM LNG. So obviously here also shows that fertilizer and city gas, they are looking good, and industry is coming up very fast. The upper top part, light blue color. So fertilizer, city gas, and industry is coming up very well. Okay, next. Now the projections also by the international agencies. This is also by the US Department of Energy, International Energy Administration. They have projected that industry sector will dominate gas consumption. Look at the blue one; it's so big, industrial sector, transportation, because there will be a lot of substitution of oil and gas by renewables in transportation, in power sector, in residential commercial. Therefore, these sectors will shrink: transport, power, and residential commercial. But industry sector will, take more and more gas. So this is a good one, that industry is going to have more and more gas. Next. So this slide, is very interesting. Just these are only 9 figures. There are a lot of hidden, message here. Look at the natural gas demand. They call it stated policy scenario. Whatever governments have announced till date, till the time the report was prepared, having taken those policies into account, this is the scenario. World gas consumption will decline precipitously. Why it will decline? Primarily because of Europe, primarily because of the Western world. China also will decline very precipitously from 369 BCM today. It will go down to 185 2050. But look at India, it will increase 60 today. It will go to 1112 BCM in 2050. Why it is so? I was thinking why it is so in India, because there is a hidden message about the stated policy. So all these countries have announced the net zero emissions target. So obviously for US, it is US and Europe, it is 2050. By 2050, they will have net zero. China is 2060. So both are closing. Both are very close that way. India has announced 2070. So therefore, probably the agency thought probably India will keep on taking more and more gas because obviously we need more and more gas because gas will still help in mitigating the emissions. Because as you know, natural gas companies are also using a lot of emission reducing technologies, by using greener fuels in their activities, in their industrial activities. So this is a very good indication about what is going to happen. Next, prices. Prices, of course, this is a simple chart. I have picked up the data from Petroleum Planning Analysis Cell, my old office. And since this is a weighted average of 4 hubs in the world, it really almost, I will say, it fully tracks the global price scenario. Therefore, this chart itself will indicate which way the global prices behaved. H1 is first half of the year, April to September. H2 is October to March. They are, because the PPSC announces prices for first year. One price which is announced in March will continue to apply till September. Another price which will be announced in October will continue to apply till March. This is how the arrangement has been made. So look at uh, 2020 and 2021. I deliberately put it these two. It's $1.79 per MMBTU. So what I was thinking, that the prices remained below $2 because of Corona, because of COVID. It was showing even Indian prices because it's the average of regional house. It was less than $2. But now the prices have gone up to $9. Also, our Indian, you know, uh, gas exchange, IGX also is trading. I think few days back I checked the data around $9 per MMBTU. So $9, $9-10 is very much affordable now, which is a good sign that more and more gas will be consumed. Prices will remain almost stable around this figure internationally. So it's a good sign, but things can change, in a matter of week. Because nobody knows what will happen. Because if you look at the curve, it is so volatile. Next. This slide I added in the morning because I thought it would not be complete, but most of the things have been covered by. I requested Surinder to revise my presentation because without policies, I'm a part of the policy making world. So without saying few of my own understanding and based on long analysis is that pipeline is the key. And I have done all kinds of estimates. Actually, a few days back, there was a conclave of uh, gas industry directors. So they said, look, we need another 30,000 kilometers of pipelines. Whatever is there, about 25,000 kilometer pipelines are running, but this is not good enough because to prepare a network all over the country. Because why I'm saying, as a regulator of city gas, I knew that city gas areas can afford a pipeline of less than 30 kilometers from the trunk line because that cost city gas has to bear, not the pipeline operator like GAIL. The city gas company has to bear that cost. So that should be less than 30 kilometers. Today, in some GH, it is more than 100 kilometers. So what will that city gas fellow do? How can he take the gas? If he take the gas, he's going to really die. It can't afford this kind of. So therefore, pipelines have to really reach all over we call it a interconnected network, not a circular grid we have now. It has to be an interconnected network. So we need 30,000 kilometers. My own calculation, if you have to replicate China or US at our GDP, it should be 45,000 kilometers. Building gas storage, Dr. Sai was telling, yes, gas storage is very critical, but this is very, very costly, very, very capital intensive. How and when it will be done in India is a big question mark. Without government support, obviously it can't be done. These are the issues, Government has, a lot of lot of announcements have been made long back, probably 8, 9 years back, to create a single window clearance system. But you'll be surprised to know only 3, 4 states are implementing it. Even that is a very half-cooked way. So gas companies are all complaining, particularly city gas companies. Look, we are not giving us a single window clearance. We are running here and there, almost taking a year for getting all clearance. How do you run our business? Regulatory reform itself is a subject. I know too many of these things, but here this is not the occasion to go into this thing. It needs a lot of reforms. Lot of problems have already been made, in the entire regulatory system for gas sector, particularly for pipelines. So it has to be rectified, and further initiatives have to be taken. Government policy, of course, at the end of it, the umbrella government policy. Without government policy, nothing can happen. Actually, there was a questionnaire, there was a survey about the industry. They say about 80% requirement has to come from government policy. Without that, and it's true globally, even including USA, which is the biggest market enterprise. But still, government has a lot of work to do to push energy sector. So government policy, most important is gas under GST. Not only GST, it has to be competitive rates because, for example, LPG is charged at 5%. Suppose you do your domestic gas at 12%, it will not work. So it has to be 5% for domestic gas. Or for CNG, Delhi has a zero rate. Others have 5% rate. But Andhra has got 24.5% VAT. The VAT rate in Andhra is 24.5%. In Bihar, it is 20%. So some states are charging so high. And some states have already come down. West Bengal is 5%. So therefore, there is a real rationalization of the tax required. But I doubt that this will be done this year. Next. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I hope I have exceeded my time.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Mohanty. Yeah, it was a very interesting presentation, and I'm sure it has generated a lot of interest. And I believe towards the end, when we have the discussion, a lot on the presentation that you have given. In fact, Dr. Sharma could not hold himself, and he intercepted you in the middle. So, Dr. Sharma sir, we have a discussion later on, so kindly
We
hold
keep
questions till that time.
I keep discussing with Dr. Sharma,
And in
We
fact,
keep discussing.
Thanks. Which I myself was thinking now, because I got the opportunity, I'll just give you. I am not very sure, but I believe that when you asked about the extra production, domestic production, from where it will come, I believe it. We are depending on offshore, particularly the deepwater eastern offshore, which has just started producing, and there is a lot of scope in that. So maybe that might be, but I really do not know that. The second part, which I would like to say, is about your. You said that the demand of gas in India will keep on rising because you say that this renewable is not going that fast. We have given it 2070 as a deadline, but the way it is progressing in India, I think may be different. Probably we will also be able to reduce our gas consumption by that time. So. Next, I think, Dr. Negi.
I think, Ashok, question answer you can put at the end. Otherwise, other speakers will have no time.
Yeah. So that's what. Yeah. So, Dr. Negi, I think now Mr. A.K. Singh had to come, but probably he's not there. And you said probably Dr. Gyanendra Sharma might be.
Gyanendra Sharma.
This, right?
Yeah, President
so
LNG Marketing.
Would you like?
Yeah.
Gyanendra Sharma sir, kindly join. Thank you.
Good morning, sirs, and all, ma'am. It's in fact pleasure and privilege to participate in this webinar where such eminent player and seasoned policymakers, stalwarts of the industry have expressed their views or are on the platform. With little knowledge as compared to you, of merely 28 years in this gas industry, But whatever I know, I would be very happy to express my views. In fact, one of the speaker was telling the gas is the future, and I think future is now present. The gas is playing, though it has, we have been hearing, we have been listening, but now it has become necessity that gas need to take its role. Though percentage price we might have observed there is a slight dip, but as we all know, and you have seen, the Rome was not built in a day. The kind of growth, the kind of zeal in the policymakers, the kind of growth in infrastructure and awareness among the people, and above all, the kind of aspirations young India have, and the aspirations fulfillment is coming with the economic growth, which require multi energy requirement, and where from this energy requirement is getting filled, it is renewables being supplemented, complemented by natural gas, which makes the universal best combination, not only in India, globally. The world is moving towards net zero, and considering net zero targets of India and globally. So players like India, natural gas become the natural source of energy to feed such energy requirement, infrastructure growth requirement, aspirations of young people who want a lot of gadgets and consumption of energy. As we all are aware, India's energy consumption per capita is 1/3 of the world, and of course 1/10 of the affluent nations, without naming them. Considering all those parameters and the time at which we are, and in the next 4-5 years, understanding the importance of that, global players across the world have been left and right planning their capacities of liquefaction capacity. I may be jumping in between, but I leave few things for the question answers, something to create the interest, what I spoke now. As we are aware, the global trade was around 401, and multiple publications are saying 401 to 410 and all that. Leaving it aside, in spite of ups and downs witnessed unprecedented in the last 4-5 years by this LNG industry, specifically 2019-20 onward, the lowest price to highest price ever witnessed, the volatility witnessed, the geopolitical conflict causing a lot of anxiety in matured market of even Europe. They ended up buying more than what they could consume when the US supplies were getting disrupted. I think 24-25 MMTPA equivalent they could ended up, instead of consuming, storing into the storage, and then subsequently I think they have reduced their energy consumption and they have used efficient ways of managing their energy consumption. So the Europe energy requirement or dependency on gas, while is increasing, but sustainably, and the witness energy industry, specifically LNG gas industry, witnessed that kind of volatility has come down to reasonable levels, and it is quite manageable. I think Mohanty Saab was telling around $9, $10 and all that, and it seems now the new normal. What I was telling, the global players have understood the need to create the capacity, and as on date, more than 1000, or I should say specifically 1046 MMTPA capacities, pre-final investment decisions are under planning, but we know there are very timid chance of such capacities coming on the line because the ratio is, because of the capital intensive nature of these projects, is almost 25% materialization. Considering that as on date around 480 plus, to be very precise, 483 MMTPA capacity is available, global liquefaction capacity, with confirmed FID and growth projections. It is expected the liquefaction capacity will cross 700 MMTPA by 2030, and majority of the growth is likely to come, which is absolutely under construction with hardly any unforeseen situation. There are no challenges predicted of these projects being shelved. By 2027-28, around 160 MMTPA capacity will be producing additional capacity, meaning by the concern of its simple market of demand and supply, though it looks very complex, but it is a very simple game of demand and supply, and the global world being so much interconnected, which we saw anything goes wrong in Europe, it affects us also. So LNG supply market will be well supplied through 2030, and it is a very good news for countries like India, where we are dependent around 50%, and this dependency is likely to go up, which we of course don't willfully want to increase the dependency on imported fossil fuel, but given our in-house production constraint and the demand going up, our dependency on LNG will go around 70+%. But nothing, the time is favorable to India. Being importing country, the market is expected to be well balanced or well supplied. So the kind of volatilities, unforeseen prices, or prohibitive situations we observed in the last 2 years are unlikely to come. Why I'm saying unlikely to come? We have seen the conflict between Russia and Ukraine continuing, leading to Europe gas supplies getting disrupted. Another geopolitical conflict in Middle East region happening, but still energy prices have been stable throughout. And considering the supply scenario and demand in the next 4-5 years, things looks quite favorable for importing countries like India. But not only favorable for India, it offers tremendous opportunity to LNG suppliers. For them, and of course in the last few years, and by virtue of being heading marketing at PLL, lot of supplier keep coming, and we have lot of interaction about the global LNG market, demand supply scenarios, one-on-one itself, apart from going through various publications. So the world is really having a lot of expectation from India, and those countries which were like little skeptical, doubtful, they were always saying, we have been hearing this 15% story for so long. I have seen the lot of change in their behavior, attitude, and they don't want to miss the bus called India. Though whosoever says China is slowing down and all that, China maybe because of quite saturated economy it is happening, but gas demand and conversion from other fossil fuels to gas is really, let me give you a perspective, is on exponential growth. It is like tip of the iceberg. We are seeing not much growth and all that, but the kind of infrastructure they are creating, the regasification capacity and everything, they are going to like and they are in fact the sink of the world. Whosoever, wherever, like give me whatever, if price is affordable, I'll take as much as someone can give me. So they are the global sink. The kind of capacity they are creating global sink. But Chinese policy is lot of ambiguity, lot of opaqueness. The suppliers are being driven towards India. So I'm very hopeful and very positive on India's gas story. Now infrastructure, as every one of us has heard from the eminent speakers, almost 99.9% population will be covered by the last mile connectivity and of course pipelines, though there may be some hitch. Somewhere the connectivities are lacking, leading to the underutilization of LNG terminals and all that. But as I said few minutes back, awareness among the consumer, policymakers, and almost all stakeholders is driving now or never situation. So everyone is pitching in, everyone is contributing their part, and things are going to happen in next 3-4 years. Now coming to the regasification capacity of the terminal of the topic. As on date, roughly 1030 MMTPA capacity is available across the globe. Around 51 countries are importing. Good part is that out of that we have witnessed unprecedented growth in FLNG. Around 200 MMTPA FLNG capacities are now operating, and in the last 3 years, the FLNG capacity, FSRU to be very precise, I should say, has witnessed tremendous growth, specifically in Europe, owing to two factors. As I told, they were in panic. They need their population to survive from energy starvation, and they found quick way to set up LNG terminals through FSRU. But it is not only the story, the kind of environmentalist protest and environmentalist rights are in European countries. They don't want to see steel, they don't want to see land-based terminal on the shore area. They have forced the Exxons and big oil and gas companies to set up FSRU so that their view on the shore side is not hindered. They don't want to see any industrial establishment on the shore side. So that is the reason, one of the reason of FSRU growth in Europe also. And this is after talking to few players who have set up FSRU in Europe. I am convinced and I am confident in speaking these words. There are multiple factors. One, environment. One, quickness of gas supplies, moving away from dependence or whatever you call it, Russia using its might of gas supplies. So Europe has come a long way. Nonetheless, they have policymakers have decided and consumers have come up very well. The energy consumption or energy efficiencies has gone up. Energy consumption pattern, the kind of people were not worried for per capita consumption. Now people definitely worry, and they are consuming judiciously. As I told, around out of this 1029 MMTPA capacities, now around 270 MMTPA regasification capacity is under construction, and you would be surprised, or rather you would be already aware of, out of 270 under construction regasification capacity, around 150 MMTPA is constructed alone in China, and rest of the world 120 MMTPA. So that is one of the reasons with these data and figures, and knowing well not only regasification capacity, Russia has found another source of consumption in China while moving away from Europe. So a lot of gas is going into China, which otherwise was going to Europe. Or like in the next few years, I'm not very sure, but majority of the gas share lost in Europe will be sinking into China. With this, and we know the world has around 43% utilization of regas terminal. The concern of eminent speakers that bearing PLL Dahej, all other terminals are underutilized and all that. But being in this industry, and incidentally, I have not diversified experience bearing all the years in gas sector, GAIL, Mahanagar Gas, and last 5 year heading in Petronet LNG. I see this time, whatever we have seen in the past, what couldn't happen, but there are all indications and in all probabilities, all things are likely to fall in place. Connectivity, if couldn't happen in last so many years, but next 2-3 years are very promising. All these terminals are likely to get connected to the grid, and the way grid is connected to the last mile connectivity, every nook and corner of the country, these terminals will rise in their utilization, and India is likely to fall short of the regasification capacity. As on date, India is merely having, as Nagisa was telling, around 47.7 MMTPA ready to use capacity, around 19 MMTPA capacity is under construction. I would say many announced but couldn't take off. But knowing the situation, I say 15% or whatever share, it is all calculated based upon the energy consumption growth rate and all that. But sir, I think someone is unmute by mistake in between. So what I was telling, can I continue?
Please go ahead.
Go ahead, Sharma ji.
Okay, sir.
Mute.
Okay, sir. So with the situation going, and India would be requiring what Nagisa was telling, 550 to 600 SCMD consumption, and as Dr. Sharma pointed out, the last month India has crossed 200 SCMD of consumption. It is likely to happen, and it is the way to happen. The way power consumption requirement has gone up, and specifically, as in the beginning I told, renewables growth is fueling the growth of gas also in power sector specifically. And I don't know whether someone from NTPC is here or not, but with one-on-one interaction, in-depth understanding in the very recent week itself, and because Petronet Dahej is one of the anchor point when country needs it, Petronet stand up to cater to the country's requirement. And I'm really privileged to be here in this position. And the Petronet LNG's leadership of Mr. AK Singh is phenomenal. The terminal has made that country won't be starved of gas supply. The terminal having capacity of 63 SCMD rose up to the occasion and supplied more than 80 SCMD on particular day, and consistently more than 70 SCMD for last throughout this summer when the country needed the gas. And I really salute such leadership who have such high commitment for the country. Come what may, all debottlenecking, he got it done being technical expert of the field. And Petronet has been able to cater to when gas supply shortage was witnessed for power requirement, but Petronet really stressed sometimes running its plant at 120% capacity, and that too very safe. Safety was utmost, keeping safety at the top, running plant and keeping country's requirement top priority. So whether Mr. AK Singh is here or not, I think from my side, definitely he deserves a lot of applaud. As regard LNG sourcing options, as I told, India is the brightest spot. World is seeing at India as a bright spot, bright consumer to take. It is pertinent to mention India is a smart consumer. It knows when to change the pedal, and I haven't witnessed that people getting into energy starvation. In the year 2019, I witnessed, and every one of us has seen, India consumed 23.98 MMTPA of LNG. It went on to 26.63. When the prices were up and down, it came down to 24 in 2021 and 2022 when Europe was buying in panic and prices went extraordinarily exorbitant. India switched to another fuel which offers better economy, which offers better value for money, and LNG consumption in India came down to 19.9. So Indian consumer, people say it's price sensitive, poor consumer. I say better the world need to be beware of and check their facts. India is a smart consumer. India is not the one who is dependent on you. Whatever you want to supply, whatever you want to at the price, India won't take it. Consumer won't take it. Consumer is not going to be arm twisted by you people. And perhaps in the last few interactions with the global players, I witnessed they have understood you can't bully Indian consumer, Indian importers like they could do the European so-called matured market. Indian consumers switched to liquid fuel very efficiently and very fast. And every consumer is so smart, they always keep a provision of multiple fuel consumption. They don't want to reduce their production. The way, just I want to give one more perspective. Europe industrial production has reduced, or gas consumption in industries has reduced by more than 30%, meaning by reducing their GDP. If industries are not producing, if their energy consumption, which all of us know, the energy consumption growth is a very good indicator of growth of economy and GDP of any country. So I think I am getting an indication I should cut short the discussion. I would just simply say India is not only a smart consumer. India needs three things for sourcing: affordability, security of supply, and sustainability of supply. In this regard, affordability, as I told, if you don't give me the price which is feasible, affordable for me, I'll switch over to something, you will lose the market, at least temporarily. Reliability of supply, world was going through a lot of panic and geopolitical crisis. India preferred long-term sourcing, and in this regard, recently, Petronet LNG, along with its off-taker GAIL, IOCL, and BPCL, has under flagship of PLL being a flag bearer of these three promoter and consumers, has renewed 7.5 MMTPA LNG SPA with Qatar. And not only that, recently India has executed around 4.5 MMTPA of new contracts. So by the year 2027 as on date, India should be having around 27 MMTPA long-term contracts, rising from present 20.5 MMTPA to 27.5 MMTPA down the line by 2027. India knows when to move, when to go down. I would say I am asked by the organizers to cut short. I would just say thank you very much for this opportunity to speak before the eminent panelists, eminent personalities on this webinar. Thank you very much. Not only I myself give, and it is the PLL side also, I'm conveying immense gratitude. Every speaker was having some good word for PLL, the Hayes PLL. Thank you very much.
Not Gyanendra Sharmaji, and sorry we had to interrupt you, but we are running short of time. And I would immediately, without taking any more time, I'd like Mr. J.P. Mishra sir to kindly apprise us about the initiatives that Indian Oil is taking in this regard. Thank you, J.P. Mishra ji, kindly.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Just I will share my presentation. Yeah. Actually, this presentation is not getting shared.
You have sent it to
Rawatji, if you can share.
Rawat Sahab, no?
We don't have it.
Have you sent?
Okay, this is not getting selected actually, sir.
Okay.
Just a minute.
शर्मा जी जो शेयर लिखा है ना, शेयर आइकॉन पे लगाओ.
सर वो तो करा मैंने.
अच्छा
सर ये अगर बाबा जी के पास है तो ही कैन शेयर इजीली.
मेरे पास नहीं है सर.
You can go ahead with your hard copy if you have.
No, can I send you, sir? Just a minute. Mr. Rawat?
Yeah, indiaenergyforum@gmail.com.
Just a minute, sir. I will send. क्या सर इंडिया एनर्जी फोरम?
हाँ जी सर.
Okay. सर आपको भेजा है सर.
मैं भी देख लेता हूँ.
By the time, sir, Mr. Negi get this mail, and upload this and share to the all the participants. I am very indeed thankful to Mr. Negi and the India Energy Forum to give this opportunity among these distinguished speakers, and I am really honored to have a webinar with Mr. Shahi, Mr. Saraf, Mr. Mohanty, Dr. Mohanty, and Mr. Negi, and all the eminent people, sir. Like the perspective is that what Indian Oil has been doing in the LNG sector and the gas sector. Currently, Indian Oil is the second largest supplier of natural gas in India and LNG basically, because after the GAIL, because Indian Oil don't have any APM gas allocation, the domestic gas allocation. Domestic gas allocation is done only by the GAIL. So whatever LNGs come to India is second, is approximately last year we have done around 6.5 million ton, and this year we are expected to cross around 8 million ton of gas sale this year. And if you will compare, like approximately after 2 or 3 years time, our own captive requirement will be approximately 7 million ton. Currently, it is only around 2.2 million ton only. The rest of the things we supply in the market. And one of the main thing which I am actually interested to tell you, that one of the things, because in India, the total pipeline connectivity is not everywhere. Like earlier speakers have told that the pipeline, more and more pipeline is getting connected, and it is told by the government also that more pipelines to be connected. Currently, approximately 98% of the India geographical area is connected by the city gas distribution. So the more and more pipeline has to be laid. But certainly, currently, I think more than around 20% CGDs are there which don't have any pipeline. Allocation is given, but the pipeline is not there. So what is the second option to monetize that field? And many charge areas there in this city gas distribution where there is no pipeline. And even it is not economical to lay the pipeline to just supply some 1,000 or 2,000 MMBTU of gas in that area. So then what is the solution? Like, sir, in Indian Oil is supplying approximately 50% of the petroleum products in the country, and LPG, propane, and this LPG, propane, equally good fuel. You cannot say that it is a low carbon or high carbon type of fuel. And still, what Mr. Ganesh Sharma was telling, that people are naturally smart. People have the other fuel option also. So unless the image of the natural gas or the CNG is that in the country, that it is a cheaper fuel. It is not a better fuel. The image has been projected, the marketing has been done as a economical fuel, not as a quality fuel or the low carbon fuel. Now these days it is we are trying, and now as soon as the prices are more than with the liquid fuel of natural gas, certainly people switch over if the option is available. If the option is not available to the customer, naturally he has no option but to remain with the natural gas, because the affordability is the main thing in the country. Unlike liquid fuel, natural gas has a limited competition amongst the suppliers. And the city gas distribution companies and many companies are there, like where it is like a monopoly situation is there. I think one of the condition which is, I think, preventing the growth of natural gas in the country, because sometimes the customer also feel contracted and under the take or pay clause, use or pay clause. So many penalties are there in the natural gas contracts. So people are scared to sign the long-term contracts, particularly when they have seen 2 years back. Sir, are you able to see, sir, my presentation?
Yeah, now
Yes. Yes, sir. You can do. Yeah. Yes, sir. This is the presentation. So I will go very quickly because the time is limited and the presentation slides are more. because by the time we were actually joined this, I am I am getting preparing these slides because I was traveling yesterday. So anyway, so sir, yeah. If you can do mute, I think it will help me. So, hello. Everybody is requested to please mute. Yeah. So, sir, one of the business model what Indian Oil has introduced, like LPG, like propane, like furnace oil or any other fuel, like to supply LNG by road tanker. So, Indian Oil has pioneered this concept in the year 2006. 2004, our Dahej terminal has been commissioned. And after that, even that time, a lot of pipelines were not there. So, Indian Oil has, and with the help of Petronet LNG, we have started supplying LNG by road tanker. When LNG come all the way from US to India, why it cannot go from Dahej to any other place in the country? So we have started. Currently, it is approximately 0.4 million ton of LNG is being supplied by road tanker in India from the various terminal like Dahej, Ennore, Kochi, Hazira, Dhamra and Dabhol terminal. And now more and more terminals are getting connected, like even the other terminal like Chhara and Mundra is also having the loading bays. So the road tanker will start operating from those terminals also. Generally, people feel that the LNG cannot be supplied too far. But currently, Indian Oil is already supplying this up to 1850 kilometers from the terminal. Next slide. Yeah. So you can, sir, just scroll because these are the photographs only for the benefit of all the participants. Next slide. So this is the loading this is the loading of the Ennore terminal. These are the facilities, sir, Indian Oil has created in 2006. This was our first customer, HR Johnson, making tiles. So tiles manufacturing needs this natural gas. So this is the one customer at HR Johnson, National Hindustan National Glass at Nasik. Next slide. Yeah, this is one of the customer, Hindustan Saint Gobain Glass. This customer consume approximately 270 metric ton of LNG per day by road tanker, approximately 0.5, around 0.4 MMSCMD. This is the one customer for this power production and the heating requirement. Next. Like these are some of the customer industrial customers like Kajaria Ceramics, the Somani Ceramics, making use of this LNG because the pipeline is not there. Next. So industrial uses, any kind of uses is possible. What Indian Oil is doing, we have identified for heating requirement, captive power generation, as a feedstock for hydrogen production, LNG station, LCNG station, mining dumpers. Indian Oil has first time done in mining dumpers. Indian Oil is the company who has done in railways also. What Negisa was also telling that some Japanese companies was trying, but Indian Oil is already doing that. So, next slide. So first I will take this LNG as transport fuel. Sir, if you can make it full screen, I think that would be better for the people to see, if it is possible. So LNG, what IOC is trying to do this introduction of LNG as transport fuel. You know, sir, in country, approximately 50 million metric ton of liquid fuel, diesel is being consumed in the transportation sector. And natural, the CNG is having range limitation of the vehicle. Like CNG is not like a preferred fuel for the trucking operation. But LNG is basically a fuel used for the trucking, long haul trucking. So for long haul trucking, approximately more than 50 million ton of diesel is being consumed in this sector. So if LNG is to be it is required for the LNG growth to have this sector as a main anchor load, like in China, approximately. Anyway, next slide is there. So LNG is a more cleaner fuel. It is much economical fuel. Availability is there, all this. So if you'll see in China, approximately 13 0.5 million ton of LNG is used in the transportation sector alone, having approximately around 7.25 lakhs of trucks. So if this figure is very small for India also, if we are able to like introduce LNG as a transport fuel, we can also increase the LNG consumption by approximately around 10 million ton in the near future. And as per the other studies, if you'll see approximately 4 million ton, or ICF studies approximately 1.5 million ton can be added to the LNG kitty. And IOC has been working to to make the ecosystem. So we have been working with the Tata Motors since 2014, and first truck was introduced or flagged off in 2015, LNG truck. Similarly, we are working with Ashok Leyland, Volvo, Eicher, and all other blue energy motors to introduce vehicle. Currently in India, approximately 600 trucks are operating, LNG trucks are operating, and it is expected that in next 1 year time or 1 or 2 years time, approximately 10,000 trucks, LNG fueled trucks will be on the road, Indian roads next. So these are the stations what the public sector oil companies are setting up. Approximately 10 are operational, and I think in next 7 to 8 months time, approximately you can say around 40 more LNG fueling station retail outlets will be operational in on road, and approximately 16 to 18 private retail outlets are getting commissioned next. So these are some of the photographs of the China, USA, and Italy. Like, this is not a new concept in India. Next, you can go next. Approximately 600 stations are planned as per the mandate or as per the instructions of the government also. Next. So these are the trucks, are like you can see, like Tata Motor is ready with that LNG truck, Ashok Leyland is ready, Blue Energy Motor is also ready, Eicher is also ready. So all these truck manufacturers are ready and having 4 to 5 models. Like, I will just cover this. Like, a lot of stranded gas fields are available in the country, which is having approximately 1.5 million ton of production is possible using this stranded or the marginal gas fields in the country. So what we are doing, we have been working on a project to liquefy this stranded gas in the country. So recently, Indian Oil has signed one MOU with the ONGC, and we are developing one field recently. So I think in next 18 months time, you will see that the LNG production from the wellhead gas in India. This will be the first of its kind project in India, because at Vijaypur, it is basically RLNG liquefaction plant, but this is the wellhead gas liquefaction plant, where the gas is actually monetized. So, and we are planning, we are working on more fields also. So these are the new initiatives of IOC. Next, sir. Like, this is the overall situation, like in China and Oman, Nigeria, many other places, small scale liquefaction is a prominent business model. So when China can do, India can also have this type of stations, small liquefaction plants. Next. This is the one photograph of one plant. So this will be a small plant, and you can say in approximately 1 acre or 1.5 acres of land, this plant can be set up, and approximately 1 to 2 lakh SCM of gas can be monetized, and if it is stranded. Because if this small quantity of gas is supplied through a pipeline, and if you lay the pipeline of 50 kilometer or a 7500 kilometer pipeline to get to connect to some consumer or connect to this trunk line somewhere, then you need a lot of investments are required, lot of ROW, lot of things are there. But if you like Negisa was also telling earlier, this is a viable business model, provided this stranded gas is available at a reasonable cost. It should not be they should not expect like the cost of 10% of the Brent or like that. So anyway, so next. So the mining sector Indian Oil has introduced LNG in mining sector also. In 2019, first 5 dumpers Indian Oil has joined hands with the Reliance at Sasan coal mines, and we have converted these dumpers in LNG, where we already supply diesel. Next. So these are the many sites are there, because most of the sites of mining is on the eastern sector of India, and earlier we have done in the central part, and because all the otherwise all the terminals were on the western coast of India, like Dahej and Hazira and all this terminal Kochi. So that time it was a little difficult to justify the price when we are supplying the liquid from Dahej to Odisha. So now the Dhamra terminal is there, so it is very useful. And Coal India is also planning to convert many dumpers. And recently, Tata Steel Ghato, we have converted 4 dumpers in LNG, and now we are planning to for more around 100 dumpers. So this is the one area where like incremental growth is possible. Next. Like this is the possible HSD consumption, current HSD consumption in the mining sector. So approximately 1.55 million ton of diesel is consumed, and it is expected that because a lot of mining activities are going up in the country, so approximately 3.5 to 3.7 million metric ton of diesel is projected to be used in this sector. So if even 30% of that can be converted, or even 10%, so it is a reasonable growth. Next. This dumper we have converted at Sasan coal mines in Singrauli. You can see this dumper consumes daily approximately 3 KL of diesel, consumed 3 KL of diesel. And approximately 30% of the diesel is replaced by LNG. So these are the things. And currently, because of some financial issues at the Reliance Anil Ambani group, these are not working, but they are planning to start again. Next. And bunkering, sir, this is the one upcoming area in India where all the companies, including Petronet LNG or Shell Hazira, and all should work. And Indian Oil is also trying at Chennai to introduce bunkering. So if you will see, globally, lot of ships are converted to LNG because of the IMO regulations. Already 304 ships, this is little old data, approximately 400 ships are operating on LNG, and approximately 600 ships are on order. So you will say around 1,000 ships are already there. This is other than the LNG carrier. That is other than, mainly these are the container ships. Next. Like these are the fuel, lot of ships are under order. So if you'll see, like by 2028, 304, 100 and 229 ships are already ready. So anytime it can be commissioned for LNG. So more and more ships are getting added. Next. And this alternate fuel, so just it is a one data that whatever the alternate other than the liquid fuel, other than the heavy fuel or the diesel and other fuel, so whatever is the number as getting converted is approximately around 12%. New ships are in the alternate mode, alternate fuel. Alternate fuel is, and out of this 12%, 6% is LNG. And some small percentage are there, like hydrogen, ammonia, LPG, and battery ships are, electric ships are also being coming up. But the majority of the ships which are on new order are on LNG. So just I wanted to give a picture to you that this is also one of the upcoming sector globally. Next. Like it is a LNG bunkering vessel. So for bunkering of these vessels, small vessels are also required. So a lot of new vessels are coming up in Asia also, in emission control area of the Norway and the Baltic, and Europe also. So a lot of these vessels are coming up globally. Next. These are basically you can see how many ships are operating and how many the small bunker ships vessels are there. So this is a global picture. This DNV report. Next. Like India can be a better place for the bunkering, like because if you'll see from the east to west, maximum ships, approximately 1 lakh ships are passing through this tip of the India from near Kochi, and now Vizhinjam port. Yesterday only it has been inaugurated by the Honorable Minister. So Vizhinjam is one in Kerala, is one of the very good place for bunkering operation, and Kochi terminal is very nearby. And similarly, even at the Chennai port, many ships are coming having the dual fuel. And because the bunkering facilities are not available on the Indian port, that is why these ships are not getting filled or taking bunker fuel at Indian ports. But the demand is coming to Indian Oil also, because we are the largest bunker provider in India. And one of the thing is this Great Nicobar. Government is planning a Great Nicobar, and approximately 1 lakh ships pass from the Great Nicobar. So this is an alternate from the Singapore, can be a very ideal place. Next. These are the bunkering facility. Just next. LNG bunkering demand, what has been projected, currently it is much less, but by 2030, approximately 3.5 million ton of LNG is projected. This is projected 2-3 years back, but the growth is much faster. Like currently in Singapore, 3 LNG bunker providers are operating, and they are fully busy, just very near to India, you can say. So this figures are old figure, and I'm expecting that is much more than this will be coming shortly because of these shipping IMO regulations. Next. And certainly IOC is providing everywhere bunkering, including this Andaman Nicobar, including this Great Nicobar also. So we are having one expect. We are also trying this in this particular LNG bunkering model. Next. Thank you so much, sir. Actually, it is just very fast. I wanted to complete this thing. So if you have any question, you can ask us. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mishraji. Very, very informative presentation, and I wish we had some more time. Unfortunately, we don't have. And
yes, sir.
I would like to hand over to Shahi sir, because we are very short of time, and he
Sir.
may like to allow some people for some questions, or maybe he may like to sum up or give his concluding remarks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ashok. I think it has been very, very informative. Of course, we have crossed the time of question answer, but still couple of clarifications or question answer we can entertain. I saw Rajesh, he is running at gas exchange. Rajesh, you have any point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Couple of minutes.
No, sir. I think it was really good for me to hear all the eminent panelists, Mr. Mohanty, Mr. Negi, Mr. Mishra. All was very relevant. Only thing I just would like to give my perspective, because most of us in the group are relating to power sector, and LNG is gas. So I am at the cross section of these two sectors. I can give my perspective that what we expect from power sector, how much gas we should be expecting in future. So I see some kind of I have bullish sentiment in this regard, because as Mishra ji also said, Mr. Mohanty also gave in his presentation that we are going to add a lot of production capacity. So LNG production capacity, liquefaction capacity is going to increase substantially, particularly after this last year and year before last, when prices had increased. Before that, there was no investment coming to liquefaction capacity. Now there is a lot of liquefaction capacity is expected to come. And by 2026, we will have at least 150 to 200 million ton more capacity coming in. And as Mr. Mohanty also said that we don't see much demand growth in Europe and Japan, Korea. Of course, China will continue to grow. Another part of the world may also see the growth, but that growth will not be as much as we can expect in India. Only thing we need is that we should have, we see that when the prices are going to be less than $10, and if it comes to a sweet spot of say $6 to $8, then power sector will see lot of demand coming for gas fired power. And after 2026, I think if right measures are taken by our gas capacities in India, because a lot of capacity is under NCLT, and now I think this is the time when somebody can get those capacity and keep them ready for use after 2025-26, because when we are seeing that power demand is growing up in India at say 7 to 8%, and our differential between peak and solar will be much more as we go along, because we will add a lot of solar capacity, but in the evening peak we will be short of capacity and demand growth will happen. Prices will go up very high in the evening and night times. So I see that there will be good demand for gas-based power after 2025-26, and for that we should be ready. Of course, one is gas power plant can meet the peak demand for the peak demand of power. Second is for intermittency also we should try to use this capacity. Now, why we are not able to use that capacity for intermittency so far? One is that, of course, our renewable power is still about 11 to 12% of energy mix. If it grows to something like 15 to 20%, more intermittency demand will come. So there are two things, sir. I want we should note for maybe policy side we should make changes. One policy change I expect from power sector, that today, sir, we have capped our power prices to 10 rupees per unit. And because of that, what is happening, sir, gas-based power capacity normally is not dispatchable, because one is that in peak we are capping it at 10 rupees. In off-peak times, it goes up to say 4 rupees, 5 rupees. So average price comes out to be 6, 7 rupees. And at that price, no gas-based power plant get dispatched. But suppose we remove this cap or increase it to say 12 rupees or 15 rupees, then our average price for the market or for the system will be something like 10 rupees. In that case, many gas-based power plant will become viable, at least for the season, like for the summer season and for the time when monsoon retreats in August, September. That time it would be used. Second part, sir, one problem we see for using gas-based power in on the power side, because in as far as regulations are concerned, our regulations allow capacity booking, transport capacity booking at on 3 days notice. And actually, we know that in power sector, we get a dispatch only on 1 day before or on the same day. So for those power plant who actually can operate, even they cannot buy gas and book capacity, because the 3 days requirement is there for booking the capacity. So at least if we reduce this time for allowing capacity booking, say maybe few hours intraday or maybe day, probably that time we will be able to see more gas-based power being used by the power sector.
Right.
So
Okay,
one is that.
okay, Rajesh. Okay, that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other
Thank you,
point?
sir.
Anybody else? Because
May
Mr.
I say
Sharma,
something?
quick point.
Yeah, may I say something, sir? Sharma.
Sharma.
Sir, I wanted to say that from the power sector, I'm very disappointed lot as far as the gas is concerned. The gas authorities, all of them, I have not seen any of their presentation giving demand and supply and their planning. How do they plan? It is just something that the gas is coming and nothing comes. And we have about 25 gigawatts of gas-fired power stations, and we have not been able to run them even 50. And we have planned the gas power stations in consultation with the gas authorities, but gas supply is not there. At most of the places, they will say that you take the gas on fallback basis, etc. This is not the way to plan and go ahead.
The gas sector should plan like we plan electricity. We plan we show our demand 5 years from hence and 10 years from hence and 15 years from hence, and then plan the power station generation capacity. In this way, the gas sector has not gone ahead in this manner, and the gas supply has not increased. As you also said, that any new findings have gone for replenishment of the old wells which have dried up, and therefore I don't see any hope. Although all the presentations were very hopeful and very good presentations were there, but I don't get confidence that the outcome would be as presented in the slides. I don't know what any comments they have.
So
neither we have been able to plan any gas-fired power stations
Mr. Sharma?
in the past and now.
yes, sir. So Rajesh said 200 million ton capacity, liquefaction capacity would be coming by 2030. Last year, about 99 million tons of capacity was booked out of the 200 million tons. And prior to that, in last 2022 and 2021 and 22, about 50 to 60 million tons of capacity was booked. My question is that why can't our companies, where LNG is 25 to 30% cheaper compared to petroleum product, and in terms of thermal value and tax adjusted price, it is cheaper by about 35 to 40%. Why can't our companies go for a long-term contract? Now, the problem is that since our legacy contracts of 7.5 million tons in 1998 by Petronet, we haven't gone beyond, though, of course, US contract by GAIL for 6.1 million ton was there. Of course, recently IOC in 2023 has signed a 2 million tons contract with ADNOC and the Total's portfolio. But then if China can go up to, let's say, 80 million tons, and out of that 80 to 90% of contracts were long-term contracts, why can't we go in that way? And till 2012, we were even ahead of as far as importing LNG is concerned with China. But today, China is the topmost importer at 80 million tons, and we are just importing 22 million tons. So long-term contracts are very, very important. That's what is my assumption, having 30 years experience in LNG, because we started this venture way back in 1995 in Planning Commission, with Dr. E.A. Sharma being the member of committee. So yes, long-term contracts are very, very important. And of course, we should go in for a long-term contract.
All right, okay.
Another one.
That's okay. Any other question?
No, one very important thing. We are flaring 2.5 million standard cubic meter of gas. So why can't that be used? Could be liquefied or supplied to a number of other consumers in CGD areas.
All right. Any other comment? Dr. Mahanti, will you be able to respond to Mr. Sharma? Because you are the only person from an outfit, which is so important outfit of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Ministry. Dr.
No,
Mahanti?
I was actually listening to him. I was not ready. Anyway, I can only conclude in one line. You see, if you look at all the countries, it is the GDP which drives. If you leave it to the market forces, it is the GDP which will drive gas sector development. So we are moving in sync with our GDP. So therefore, how do you go faster? It is only by government. Companies can't do. It is only by government intervention. And what you are saying, the best example, China. China started 2 years after we started importing LNG. Look at China, it has gone beyond Japan also. It is now number one in both LNG and pipeline import. Both together, it is importing almost close to 200 million tons. Pipeline transportation cross country from Russia, Turkmenistan, and others, we don't have any pipeline, so we depend exclusively on LNG. So we need an entire different set of policy guideline where we should provide fiscal incentive. If we have to go faster, otherwise leave it, it will take another 20 years. 20 years is gone. You need another 20 years to reach those 500, 600. It is very clear. I mean,
But
So that's the way.
pipelines have not happened over last 30 years and will not happen.
Yes. So why it is not happening? Because of this is the fact. This is the cruel fact. If you leave it to the market, it is the GDP. We are
Sir,
at the, you know,
actually,
even
this is
LNG, you know, even LNG were fourth largest importer for the so many years. But do you know what is the third largest? Korea. It is 44 million tons. Second largest Japan, 75 million. So how do we reach them? We are at 20, you know.
All
And
right.
sometimes
Mr. Misra, you wanted to say something? Just Mr.
no,
Misra.
sir, actually, just I was wanted to reply to Sharma Saab that long-term LNG is currently in India. If you see the total LNG being imported in India, approximately more than 50% is approximately 60% is the long term. If you let's set aside, and this is a global trend. Basically, I am also in the LNG sector since 2006, and I have seen every 5 years. This is a sinusoidal wave, sir. Initially, for 5 years, long-term LNG is cheaper than the spot, and the spot is cheaper continuously for 5 years, except the December, January, or this winter season. This spot is always cheaper. So it is very, very difficult to sell this long-term contract.
Okay. Okay.
Like
Okay.
earlier, like this
That will do.
5.1
That will do.
million.
That will do.
Yeah.
That will do.
Yanand,
Mr. Sharma from
One
Petroleum.
point.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have anything to contribute on that point? It's the other Sharma that he said.
Yaninder,
Yes, sir.
Please, Gajendra. Yeah.
your response.
Sir, I would just simply contribute only 2 words. While I don't deny the policy fiscals and all those are required, but as I told, sometime, like whether for the mobile revolution, the government policy revolution was required, I don't think so. The times are changing. Yes, policy and all those kind of push can help us reach faster. But the time has changed, consumer has changed, world has changed. So I have a lot of optimism that gas will grow, and suppliers are also realizing, they are also investing huge. I think Rajesh ji from IGX, I don't know, you were addressing perhaps my point, saying me Misra, I'm Gyanendra Sharma.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of optimism. Dr. Sharma Saab is stalwart. His views are always respected. But thank you very much, sir. I'll just.
All right. All right. I think that any point anybody would like to make, Negi? Otherwise, we will.
I would like to just put 2 points. Sahiza,
Go ahead.
I just put 2 points. One, that whatever projection of gas requirement is coming up, whether it's 600 by 2030 or my calculation 540 or even what Mr. Mohanty presented, that your 12 BCF, I think they are good progressive and in the same domain of almost 500 MMSCMD plus. This is one we are hopeful and it will pick up. Second, on Mr. Sharma's point, my observation is actually when you have a long-term contract, you need a actually anchor customer. So when Mr. Mehdi Ratta says if your offtake price is higher, maybe our power plant, they are commissioned and they take the more gas, so therefore long-term contract would be possible. Otherwise, a mix of 60-40 is best, I think, in India we have seen. Because the scenario of 2013, we still remember when nobody wants to take the long-term contract. They were all happy with the spot cargoes, even to pay the penalty. So I think the 60-40 in I mean, I have been associated with LNG in 1995 onward. But my feel is actually it is good to have a mix. 60-40 is good for India.
All right.
And the Misra has said the stranded gas and flare gas. The SSLNG, sir, this is one of the best concept to liquefy locally and transport by tanker. So with this, I think I will thank everybody now to have patience hearing and nice. Thank you, sir.
Very good.
Nice
Now,
for you.
I think that would be very good. We have crossed the time that we had fixed for ourselves. But I must say that it was a very rich set of presentations by all of you, Dr. Mohanty, Mr. Negi, Mr. Sharma, Mr. Misra, all of you. But some of the new things that came, I did not know, many of us did not know. The decentralized production and supply by tankers, that initiative of IOC is a great initiative. Another point that came very clearly, which I had raised right in the beginning as a context, that how is it that we need to increase the consumption? How is it that we have the conversion capacity? We have the terminals, and the terminals are being used except one, not more than 20-25%. Some answer came, and I suspected that might be the answer, but I wanted to be sure that the pipeline capacity is a constraint. Now, many of you mentioned that pipeline sometimes become uneconomical. That is true. When we do transmission lines, sometimes it will be uneconomical. Infrastructure is uneconomical. So somewhere we have to draw a line that we need not go on endlessly or mindlessly. We go on increasing the pipeline, but at the same time, we cannot starve our created capacity in terms of terminals. And if we feel that LNG is a fuel which can be used and should be used, then we can't afford to have the capacity utilized in the range of 15-20%, and that is the situation. So that is one definite. This is a matter which we will take with Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, also with the regulatory board, that some sort of a coordination needs to be done between power and petroleum. I do feel that this point is a bit neglected point. I mean, having said that, it cannot be to every point, but it needs to be created in terms of a bigger pipeline and a smaller pipeline and so on and so forth. City gas distribution, a point was made that in city gas distribution, there will be a large number of consumption and supplies, but then the access is not there, access to the main pipeline. Tankage is a solution, but tankage is a solution means that you have, like railway became weak and therefore the diesel took over. So that tankage is not it's not a permanent solution. But a good concept emerged in this, that there are fields, and we made the point, everybody is making that point, that the net production of gas is negative in India for the last 10 to 15 years. And in that, if we have used fields where some residual gas is available or a smaller quantity of gas is available, why that's to be done? And that initiative of Indian Oil Corporation is great. But the point that we discussed today, future outlook of LNG, I don't think this can be anybody's case that you go on increasing the import. Because when energy security is being talked all over the world, go on increasing the import is not the solution at all. So therefore, it will have to be within limits. If we are having a seminar or a workshop discussion on future of LNG, now that is not to say that this can go on increasing to any extent, because of course, price behavior, some chart was given by Dr. Mahanti, but I must say that former Power Secretary Alok was here. He just left with a small note that in his opinion, and I agree with that, so far as power sector is concerned, with this type of behavior of price, future investment will be out of question. The present investment will be only when you have some extreme situation of summer and then you need some extra power. And Rajesh made the point that 10 rupees should be to 12 rupees. You can do that. But then that is a residual requirement. That is not giving a big push to what we are talking about. But I definitely feel that despite all that is being talked about renewable, and despite gas being or LNG being also a fossil fuel of a better quality fossil fuel, it will have its validity. It will have its relevance for at least 50 years and it will grow. But the mismatches that exist, that is the one that we should be trying to work out. So what we will do that, based on the discussion that we had today, a few points that can be pursued with Petroleum Ministry and a few points that can be pursued with the Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board, we will definitely take. And in that, I think pipeline capacity is definitely a factor. And any other supporting coordination mechanism that needs to be put in place so that at least a few more terminals come to be used in various sectors in transport. I mean, relevance of LNG in transport sector was brought out very well by Mr. Misra in his presentation and also by Petroleum PLL. And we will definitely see some increase in the process. But whether it will ever increase 15% of the energy basket, I have my doubt. 15% of energy basket from now, with hydrogen coming in, with pump storage coming in, with hydroelectric coming in, with solar coming in, with wind coming in a big way. Gas will reach 15%. I think we should now forget, because otherwise people will ridicule. I ridicule right in the beginning. At least for 15 years, we have been talking 15%, 15%. Dr. Manti also mentioned at one time that we were talking like this. It reduced at some time. Sometime it was 8, 9%, and then it reduced. So I think that we can forget forever. But then, since the baseline is increasing, even if it continued at about 6, 7%, you need extra quantity of gas. And if production in India is not there, where else it is going to come from? So therefore, LNG will continue to remain valid. Thank you very much. I have been educated a little more than what I was with all your presentations. Very good presentations. You all prepared very well and very systematically delivered. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, everyone, for giving your valuable time here. And we'll prepare the minutes of this and then share. And I believe that there may be a lot of questions. I request all of you to kindly keep on sending your questions or anything that you want, your comments, which we'll again share in our regular magazine. And then maybe we can have more discussions on that. Thank you, Dr. Negi, for very kindly arranging this. And Shai Saab, taking out your time, and you're sitting for more than almost 3 hours now. Thanks a lot to you and all the speakers for wonderful presentations. We look forward to meeting you again very soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.